Okay, let's do some figure sketching from some reference. I'm gonna try to focus on a quick tube-like figure layout and see if I can also kind of push the gesture. I see a fairly nice gesture here with this swoop coming in from the torso all the way to the leg. What if I manage to make that more extreme? And there's also this nice twist in the torso. So maybe somewhere over here I will find the shoulders. I can see where the neck drops in, maybe a little bit lower to reserve enough room for the head. I'm using a mechanical pencil here with a, I think, a 2mm lead. I really love this tool to extend it quite a bit, and you can easily take some sanding paper, shave it a bit, and you get this nice taper point, and that allows for light broad strokes, and you can get you can get very fine detail as well. So I'm now looking for the place where maybe the torso ends and the legs will begin. I'm not concerned with a likeness or even with some sort of let's say body type accuracy. I'm trying to thinking just tube-like entities that act as kind of a placeholder for what would be the head, the arms. Here we see separation of rib cage and pelvis, and let's find some idea of where the head is, maybe also as kind of a tube or cylinder shape. She's definitely looking down to the right, her right, our left. And maybe proportions aren't yet as I want them or as they should be. I'll make this angle between the upper and lower leg a bit more acute, kind of getting a better sense of movement, of pushing away. So it doesn't matter if proportions are a little bit off, or even if they're way off, that should also be manageable. I'm trying to say something about the gesture and some, let's say, cues on the structure, the three-dimensionality of the figure. This leg is pretty much straight. See the lower leg as a tube that's receding away in space from knee to ankle. So we get something like this, with a more arched and twisted torso. Let's find some location for where we think the shoulder is, and of course especially how that arm pops out. I'll make the arm pop out more, maybe like this, and define also the upper and lower arm as a simple tube maybe the lower arm comes up a bit more, and it's ever so slightly turning away in space from elbow to wrist joint. And let's find for now a simple kind of placeholder shape idea for the hand. That's also, of course, a kind of gestural approach. See where you need, or where you can use a simple shape to represent something. She's hunched over quite a bit, so I'll drop her head down. And it's okay to use an eraser. Be careful not to say, okay, I'm going to use it to make any line that's imperfect again and again. But if you've placed something a little bit off and you find earlier lines disturbing or distracting, then by all means use an eraser. Look at still the front of her face. I still need to let's say identify and define where the front of her face is, where the eyes are going to be, and that wraps up. We get that kind of front face mask, and we get the ear. Something like that. And the other arm, her left arm to our right, it comes up. It's good practice to draw through transparently, even though many of these lines will be obscured. It still helps you to place the elements like the forearm and the hand that you are going to see at the right position. Let's not get lost in too many wavy lines yet. Still stick to that idea of finding simple tubes. A very interesting hand pose here. It's quite foreshortened. I can still look for kind of the gesture, the rhythm of the knuckles, and then also the rhythm flow of the fingers and the fingertips that arch quite a bit, with the thumb basically as an extension of that arch. Still simple shape and not perfect. I'm also not worried about staying 100% true or accurate to the reference. It's not supposed to be a copy. I'm changing things, so if things don't line up the way they do in the reference, that's perfectly possible. I'll of course have to keep checking my own work and whether it's doing what I want it to do, and use my knowledge as best I can to get close to the result that I'm interested in. I also have this mirror here, and I can use that to have a look in the mirror image. I can take some distance from the sketch, evaluate what I think is working and what I think is not working. I think things are falling in place, but I need to give her a bit more hip. That'll allow for a bit more volume, mass on the legs, into the crotch. I'll keep kind of this gap, and then we'll get the other leg can't hurt to identify that underwear shape, that V shape. Where's the knee? I think the knee is somewhere over here, and you have this sartorius muscle structure, and here the outside muscle and vastus externus of the leg, and especially if she's more athletic, more superhero-like fit, those curves will show. I'm also trying to create this asymmetry down this axis, asymmetry for the head or the bulk of the outside of the calf muscle and the inside calf muscle. There's this, of course, great rhythm and flow through the body. And the lines are getting heavier, but definitely not too heavy. And of course, I can always lighten it down and come in with the final lines. Maybe even in another medium like ink. We still need to define the breasts. So we'll have the clavicle over here where the neck inserts like this, and then we'll get the breasts, the mass of the breast popping out here. We can kind of think this cross-sectional idea to find the second breast that's on the inside. And we don't have to do much more. A little bit more refinement maybe of these fingers and how they pop out from the palm of the hand. And I'm not sure whether I am pleased with them, but I'll go for it for now, see if it works, see if I like it. So we'll get the eyebrow over here, over there, and the eyelids curving down as she's looking down, and also having her eyes fairly relaxed, not wide open. Already had this indication for the nose. And I don't know how much I want to do about the mouth. I want to show that wrapping, the same wrapping as the line from ear to eyes. At the same time, she's looking serious, so I want the corners of the mouth to still point down. It's a bit heavy-handed, which gives her a bit of well, almost a derpy look, but we can refine that and amend that later. So hair is one of those things that, of course, you can play around with, have fun with. I'm using a very kind of scribbly, loose, energetic line work there. I'm still thinking about the big curve first. Should be a bit lower on the forehead. Okay. This is starting to look quite okay for a first sketch of the day. Let's give a simple indication of some toes. Maybe separate the big toe from the other four. Also for this foot, you can look at where the heel would be placed and the sole of the foot, and then see how we can attach to it very simply the toes and the top of the foot. I'm not certain whether I like it in terms of position and size, but I'll stick with it for now. Well, this will be the first sketch of the day. So let's do another one. And I notice my hands are getting greasy. I'll quickly go wash them and then return. So I'm back. Got myself a nice cup of coffee as well. And ready to go again. Let's find another reference. Let's see. This one looks cool. Or maybe, yeah, this one is nice. I like it. Let's oops, quickly save it as well. Yep. All right. So here we go. Let's find first again the torso, and come in with a bit more confidence already, and find the end of the pelvis. Let's really throw this leg back like that, and she's having a nice bend in her torso and twist as well. Maybe even exaggerate that. And keep this leg fairly thin and tubey, and maybe see what works better, the leg that way or more back, like in the reference. Kind of like the wide stance, powerful stance idea of the leg coming this way. She's standing on high heels, by the way. Well, let's maybe keep that. So this would be where the heel would be. And yes, it's a very gestural, quick approach, so there's nothing that's set in stone, but I'm creeping up on the final idea or sketch with just an initial idea. The purpose of this is to really capture the kind of flow and energy of this pose, and to also gain insight in how she's oriented in space and what I can do to capture that. So very nice, I would say, flow from the arm all the way down to the index finger, and then the other fingers complementing that. I have to double check the size of the hand, but this is in the ballpark. And now, of course, the nice position of the head. Let's think about where we find the jaw, and immediately establish this kind of curve from the ear through the eyes. And there would be something like this, I suppose. Switch grip and come in with a bit more refined line. It's almost a side view, not quite. Always tricky. And what about the size of the head? Do I like it? Yeah, it's pretty okay. Let's imagine her other arm just flowing off the page, something like that. Again, I'll have a look in the mirror. Yeah. Okay. It's looking quite okay. So, what do I need to add or change or amend? Well, I think I want to give her a bit more of a narrow waist and a bit more hip, and we see this kind of bulging of the skin and fat underneath. That really helps sell the kind of crunch. Then this other line comes in and basically flows in a nice S-curve toward the hip and the joint for the leg. And this upper leg, I'm gonna make it a bit shorter. Still keep close watch on these ellipse and the curves, but definitely for the other leg I see more mass. I should add more mass, and make sure that I flow nicely asymmetrically from the inside of the knee, and with a nice curve taper down to the ankle joint. At least I think I should do that. I think that's nice to capture. Maybe looking back, having a little bit of an idea of the kneecap, the placement of the knee. And we'll wrap from the crotch over to the side of the hip. Now I can really find this middle line and see how I need to come from more center toward the side. And here we get the shoulder muscle. I won't make it too bulky, rather flowy. And sometimes a good straight line can definitely help. I think it's good to look at where the lines are more straight and rigid, and not everything being too curvy and flowy all the time, although of course with this female body and this body type and also this pose, you are gonna find a lot of curves. Still see where maybe you need to pull back on the idea of curves and replace it with straight, like for this lower arm or this lower part of the upper arm. Don't think that gesture is only about making everything as curvy and flowy as possible. When it comes to these fingers, I am debating whether to keep it in the position that I observe in the reference, or whether to change them. Maybe at least I can make the thumb stick out, so it gives a bit more clear read. I have to carefully consider the joints, the knuckles, and maybe at this point I'm satisfied. I can move on to another sketch. It's not mandatory to leave a sketch unfinished, or to finish a sketch all the time. It's okay to leave a sketch unfinished. What even is a finished sketch? Yeah, I could sketch all the body parts and define a sketch then as finished, but if I want to leave this foot or this arm unfinished, that's also perfectly fine. What I do want to do is maybe look for the eyebrows, line for the eyes, nose, maybe indicate where the mouth would be. Let me get this nice jawline into the chin. I always like to, with these near side views, really find the profile, and for this little dark patch of the far eye coming just from behind the profile of the nose, and here we find the hair strap here and hair strap behind that. There we go. And then we find a nice little mass of hair, which maybe I can enlarge, just because I want to have a little bit variation in this width and the width of the hair strap. Maybe even add a bit more. I have a kneaded eraser. If the erasing needs to be a bit more aggressive, I get this, what would it be, polyurethane eraser or something. And then I'll have to wipe off with a soft little brush some of the residue from the eraser. I'll stick to the kind of hairstyle that I see in the reference for now, but I can make it a bit more voluminous and expressive. And we'll see some of the hair popping out, wrapped tightly underneath the hair strap. And we can come in for the refinement of the eyebrows, the eyes, maybe show some of the upper and just a little bit of shadow of the lower lip, but all this is, well, I would say up to you how far you want to take it. And refine everything. It'd be a bit weird to have entire arm missing and a very refined face, but anything goes. If it's just relaxing, sketching, having fun. Let's think of her outfit, maybe stick to the kind of bathing suit she has. So strap with wrap. Well, that's a nice rhyme. Over the shoulders, we'll hardly see it at this point. Here and over this shoulder would stretch all the way up. See a little bit of the breast over here. Yeah. Of course, I still have the option to change proportions or body types, maybe not as drastically, but I could. But I think all in all, let's have a look in the mirror. Yeah, definitely better than the first one. Warmed up a bit. So I'll do another one. Let's have a look. And by the way, my camera is at a little bit of an angle, so the proportions, also because I'm at a bit of an angle, are maybe a bit off, but acceptable. Maybe I can rotate the page a bit, or the tabletop, so that I have less of an angle. And let's find another reference. Let's see. Very simple walking pose. Maybe something with a bit of foreshortening. That's also a nice one, but I'll have a look further. Let's see, let's see. Okay, I found a nice one from, what's it called? The Pose Archives. Strongly foreshortened legs and arm. Nice gesture again. So, how to approach this? Let's look at the angle from shoulder to shoulder. And you know what, maybe I'm gonna very drastically change the body type or exaggerate the body type. So he's a very fit guy, nice V shape to the torso. How about I try to exaggerate that? First things first, kind of finding the general torso idea, and here we would come into the crotch and indeed find a very strongly foreshortened upper leg, on the other side even more. So I'll make sure that I already anticipate on making this knee appear larger than I would instinctively be inclined to do. Maybe show some cross section or cross contour lines for both legs. And I'm going crisscross and through my other sketch. That's perfectly fine. Don't be too precious about your sketches. It's mainly just fun to do. We could always opt to refine one of these sketches if we really find it worthwhile to cherish them. Let's also find a little bit stronger angle for the head. Where will we find the head? Well, somewhere over here. Okay, so I think I have quite enough, and I can start looking for very, let's say, exaggerated shapes. So I'll make his shoulder very broad and also kind of exaggerate this trapezius muscle. It's going to be very beefy, and let's look for a very extreme V shape and narrow hips like this. And it can be, well, I wouldn't say scary, but somewhat uncertain, because will this work? Will it still look believable, acceptable? Will it start looking ridiculous? We don't know, at least I don't. But I know that if I stick to the principles and I try to respect the kind of structure and anatomy that will still be in place, I at least have a chance of investigating it and finding whether it will work. And if it doesn't work, I know that I haven't lost much, not much time, not much effort. I have won something, new insight, a nice, valuable learning experience. So it's really worthwhile just going for it, not always thinking, oh, am I gonna mess this up? And if I mess this up, then it's the end of the world. It really isn't. it's looking quite ridiculous. Look at it. So pecs are over here. I still need to find a nice little swooping gesture for the other arm. Maybe this other arm is going to be extra muscular as well. But for now, let's just focus on the gesture and placement of it. It's relatively straightforward. There's a little bit of foreshortening as he's leaning backward and the arm is resting on the leg, so something like this. Very bulky trapezius muscle here. Maybe I'm also gonna kind of exaggerate, almost caricaturize the shape of his head and face. His eyes are relatively narrow, small, close together, and he has this hairdo that gives him a much wider, more voluminous top of the head versus jaw. Don't know if I like this, but once again, only by sketching it can I investigate it and evaluate whether I like what I'm doing. A little bit more square jaw. He deserves a nice square jaw. The other tendon of the what's it called again? Claudium mastoid or something. Other tools are slipping away, so something like this. Man, I should really have a look in the mirror again, see if I like this. Yeah. Let's find and define a little bit more of the muscles and structure of the leg. See, once again the kneecap coming out quite a bit, and we hardly see anything of the lower leg, but we do see where the foot comes out, and we can find the toes. Nope. That's one toe, and maybe we won't see all of the toes in our specific sketch. What do we see with the other toes? Well, even less, they are somewhere over here, but also pretty much obscured by the entire upper leg. That's how strong the foreshortening is. I don't know whether I have enlarged the knee enough. It should really be quite large. This seems okay. So with the torso or the arm, we can look for a little bit more anatomical structure with the deltoid, and then see how beefy we can make this other arm. And also on this side, giant muscles. Let's even pull up this pectoral a bit more. And and see where we need to find the upper arm coming forward, much like this, and then disappearing behind the base of the neck, the trapezoid. And you just see a little mass of the hand, thumb resting on there. And I'm going quite crisscross across the entire figure now, which is okay. And sometimes I find that I do need to kind of pace myself, not get too chaotic, and just go at it part by part. So I was working on the arm. Let's keep doing that. Very bulgy and bulky bicep muscle here. Incredibly V-shaped kind of torso. Some serratus. It's also really carefully find how this pectoral is being pulled up like this into the deltoid. Getting quite messy here because I'm doing quite some heavy changing, adaptation of the pose. I might find myself getting a bit more messy. But with an eraser we can, of course, work or get rid of some of the clutter and work a bit cleaner. Very tiny mouth and eyes. Cheekbones here, and maybe really exaggerate this poofy fluff of hair. Yeah, a little bit more of the structure of the arm, elbow, muscles, tendons. And let's come back to this arm. It's quite a mess now. I'll lightly erase it. I don't want to lose all the information. It can help me with my refinements. Here you see the lower arm beginning, and we had his crotch and the hand partly obscuring that crotch. Fingers kind of in this rhythm. Kind of establishing some sort of plane here for the wrist bones, and it helps me to think about the attachment of the lower arm. It's quite short in this case, so you can pull it up. And yeah, indeed his arms, especially this one, is going to look relatively short, but that is because it's relatively wide and bulky. It's one of the, I would say, logical consequences of creating more width. Very strong muscle, the brachioradialis over here, and a little bit more refinement of the thumb versus the other fingers. Index, thumb. Here we see a little bit of the crotch and the under pants, wrapping of the groin. And let's indicate a little bit of the nipples. They can really help to get an idea of and communicate the idea of the pectoral muscles, their placement, their movement. So very narrow hips, a little bit of overlap and let's say stretching of the folds, and he definitely could use some of the ab muscles. Kind of struggling with thinking in which way to draw these curves. If I draw them with the apex downward, it might kill that suggestion of the hips being closer to us in space. It is what I'm seeing, but maybe I should not be afraid to alter that somewhat. Yeah, that's looking quite okay. Well, I think I'm gonna call this quits. There's some work to do with figuring out the exact serratus and the oblique that comes in. How would that look on the other side? And the kind of attachment of this deltoid muscle, trapezius muscle, but it is a nice sketch gesture. I will give him, I would say, some shadow, especially for this knee. It helps to really sell the idea that his knee is lifted from the floor. This is what I like this mechanical pencil for, this ability, if you taper it like this, to lay it on the side and quickly fill patches like this. And I should stop. Maybe in a second part of this video I can take some pen and do some rendering of this figure or these figures, but for now this is okay. Add some value to his underwear, to his hair. And with these patches of value you can be loose, but if you're too loose or scribbly you lose the clarity, so you have to find that kind of optimum where you're not very meticulously trying to color inside the lines, and at the same time you're not making it so scratchy or messy or outside of the lines that the clarity is lost. These are the kinds of things that take a little bit of practice, and also there's personal tastes in this. All right, let's call this one quits for now, and maybe see you in the next vid. Thanks for watching, and as always, have fun sketching.